right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Midday Due Diligence, part of Pick Six Sports. You know the drill. As you come in, like, subscribe, retweet, share, whatever the case is, get it built up so that, hey, we can have a good time together talking about the Dallas Cowboys and, of course, their game that they had against the Green Bay Packers. That's Camber. I'm Stevie J. Appreciate you guys hopping in with us, doing a little due diligence. Camber,
Yes.
not the prettiest sight at the end of the day yesterday. It was it wasn't bad for three quarters.
Right.
Wasn't bad
Right.
for three quarters.
Yeah, if we could have played 45 minutes of football, I've been good. But that didn't happen. It did not happen.
It didn't, and it really felt like a mixture of obviously the past is the past, and Aaron Rodgers has ate us up back in the day. But this one felt more like it was us. It was the Cowboys who let this one get away rather than Aaron Rodgers just went out there and torched you, because it really wasn't Aaron Rodgers. They had the big hitters to Christian Watson, but man, it was the run game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they especially exposed that outside with Armstrong and Fowler, and they could not set that edge, and they just kept going for it and going and going.
And what's bad is Armstrong actually started off the game pretty well. There was a couple of times he did set that edge, and he did turn Aaron Jones back inside. The only problem is it wasn't consistent. And I think that that's been the issue with the run game is you haven't had the consistency. You've had times where you've come up with positive, good stops. But at the end of the day, you look at the total numbers, and it's been more down than up for this run defense. That's why they went out and they got Jonathan Hankins. It's tough for that to really help whenever it's your edges getting gashed. You went and got a big one tech, zero tech, but the edges are still vulnerable.
Right. And it's going to be a problem. I mean, take a look at our schedule, who we've got coming up as far as running backs. I mean, first of all, Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
And then, it's a gauntlet of running backs that we've got. We're going to see Derrick Henry in the near future. We're going to see Gibson again. Jonathan Taylor. Well, we're going to be facing him again. And you know what? David Pierce out of Houston. They've got a run game going, and that kid's phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's scary when you're taking on a team like Houston who really doesn't have the weapons.
Right.
Okay, well, who else didn't have the weapons? Green Bay.
Right.
Alan Lazard is your best weapon, and he was taken away completely with the exception of one slant. Outside of that, you got burnt by a rookie who hadn't done anything all season long, and it's because
rookie who got more yards in this game than he had all season.
All season. And by the way, you mentioned Gibson. Brian Robinson is right there in that as well. I mean,
and Saquon. We got Saquon on Thanksgiving Day. So
and then the Eagles. I mean, you don't just say Miles Sanders.
Name a guy. Yeah.
Let's see. Who else? We missing name it? Travis Etienne.
Yep, Travis Etienne. Yep. So, yeah, it's this run game's going to – Dan Quinn has got his work, set for him. He has got to get this figured out. And I don't know, one thing I'll say about KJ Wright is – yeah, he got burnt. I don't like his pass coverage. It's not good, but I do think he's kind of a downhill, stop the run kind of guy. And I don't know if you put him over on that side with Armstrong and Fowler to help that side with it, because Diggs would be better over there with Tank. I'm kind of grasping at straws at this point too, because I don't know how to fix this.
Well, and defensive backs, they're a little bit more the last line of defense to turn the play back inside. Mentioned Dorrance Armstrong a little bit earlier and how he was able to drive and get as deep as the back. And that's the point. when you're setting the edge is try to get as deep as the back so that they either have to come around you to continue going outside, and of course you're losing yards then, or turn back into the traffic. And that's been a problem, and I think part of it has to do with how geared up they are to rush the passer. They start taking these wide angles to try to get to the quarterback. The only problem is I understand that you're wanting to get to Aaron Rodgers because it's Aaron Rodgers, and a week before he threw the ball 43 times. But they were running. It was just I think that they get so geared up and gassed up to get after the quarterback that it causes them to lose gap integrity a lot of times. And so it's provided success to them a lot whenever teams do drop back to throw, whenever you do get an early lead and a team gets out of their game plan to run the ball and establish the run, and now they got to throw or they feel like they got to throw. The problem now becomes, after what they saw, who's going to feel like they've got to abandon the run, even down 2 scores in the fourth quarter?
Right. Sometimes I'm without words thinking about this, and that's how I've been since Sunday evening.
I'm with you.
It's these teams coming up are going to expose us. They're going to continually attack this
until you stop it.
Right. You get it figured out. You get it figured out, and then and once they figured out that once Brown went out, that now we're going to start picking on Bland and KJ, and that was ugly. At some point in time, I don't know why they didn't adjust and move Diggs, or something happened, because it was just one after the other.
I think it's tough, and if I'm just trying to put myself in Dan Quinn's shoes, I know that Allen Lazard is their best pass catcher, their best receiver. Christian Watson just hit a home run, but he hasn't done that all season. We've already seen him drop a couple of passes. He did in that game. I don't feel like I need to make that change yet and put my best guy off their best guy and onto this dude who maybe just hit a fluke. I mean, at that point in time, it's tough to say, let's make that change. And then, at the end, you do see Lazard in the slot on Deron Bland. And that's more of just, aligning your matchups. And that was really ugly. I mean, that was painful to watch.
It was.
But otherwise, I don't have a problem with them sticking with, you're our best guy on your best guy. We're just not going to let him, make someone else beat us and someone else beat you. And at the end of the day, Christian Watson probably doesn't have the day he has if the run game isn't working for Green Bay like it was.
Right. I do want sweet Mr. Bland to learn how to turn his head.
Or a whole lot of them.
Yeah, right.
It was, I mean, granted, it wasn't just him, but yeah, and this is what happens when you get a day 3 rookie playing a lot of snaps.
Right.
Especially at a spot like that, playing slot corner. I mean, it's a complicated position. Mm-hmm. You're right there in the middle of the field, guys going in and out. I mean, there's space. Right. And so I really, really, when J-Lou went down, not that he's all pro, not that he's a Pro Bowl or anything, but he's a veteran. Right. And I thought maybe you want to move AB inside and see what you got out of Kelvin Joseph. All right. But and I understand making one move is better than making 2 moves. So they just went, Bland for J-Lou, and they did that. But
we had a handful of inexperienced guys on the field. With
Yep.
Barr being out, that put Clark in full time. You got KJ in there and Bland. We had a whole handful
Williams
of rookies.
Playing.
Inexperience. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that that showed up at times. And then, a guy who I think has been not a world beater, but solid this season, Malik Hooker having a good year, but
bad game.
He had a really rough game. He had a really, really rough game, not just covering, but tackling. I mean, kind of all the way around.
Right. Yeah, I was listening to the McCarthy presser yesterday, and he said, well, yeah, we missed 4 tackles. I was like, we missed more than 4. There's no way it was just 4. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was more than that. But yeah, it's and that's just the one side of the ball. Now we get over to the other side of the ball, and there was a lot of ugly going on with that too.
There was. I thought that the ugly was early. Some of the stuff that happened late was kind of like, man, really? Like, called that? It didn't call
right. Oh, yeah.
So the stuff that happened late was objectivity versus subjectivity calls in the NFL, in the game of football in its nature.
Right.
Didn't go the way that it probably should. Get to that in a second. But early on, you're right. Right out of the gate, first play of the game. No one's really, first play of the game, Pollard bounces that run outside and kind of ends up right in Dak's lap, who I think is selling the option there. And just ends up kind of ugly. And then the next play, he goes to Pollard and that gets dropped. It's a little bit high, but come on, help your quarterback. And then you end up having to punt.
Right.
So at the end of the day, that's the kind of stuff that was going on early. You had some,
and Dak was off in the beginning too. I mean,
Absolutely.
He threw at Lamb's feet. He threw behind him. He had some. He needed that rhythm. He definitely needed that rhythm. It was like the game was going too slow, and he couldn't get his tempo going or anything like that, because there was probably 4 passes in that first quarter that was just not acceptable. As Trayvon Diggs tweeted, unacceptable.
Yeah, unacceptable. He started 0 for 4.
Right.
You got to remember that. He started 0 for 4. I think at the half ended up 10 of 15, and started going underneath. And I think that's kind of where things started opening up in that defense is, 10 completions for like 58 yards, I think it was.
Right.
And that just kind of, taking what they're giving you. They're rushing for a lot, playing, everybody knows what kind of coverage they got to play against the Dallas Cowboys now. And I think a lot of people kind of get this. They kind of weigh which one is it more of? Dak hasn't been the same since he got hurt in New England, or the offense hasn't been the same since Denver showed you kind of the formula, right? Those two things are the topic of conversation when it comes to what happened to this offense and what happened to Dak Prescott. I think it's a little more than that. I think you've got a group of receivers that don't get open, that don't separate well. I think
we saw the stat that CD
who was it?
30. Was it Mosier? Was it Michael Gelkin? One of the guys.
It might have been Owning.
It might have been.
Was it
John Owning? It might have been him. It might have been him. But yeah, what 36% is our highest guy with CD?
36 percentile.
For separation.
And no one else in the top 40. So basically, everyone in the NFL, every other team in the NFL has 1, maybe 2 guys who get open better than your best guy.
Right.
That's what that says.
Right. And I also feel there's a huge problem. I need the quarterback room to be talking to the wide receiver room, be talking to the tight end room a little bit more. There's a really bad communication going on, and that first interception absolutely showed it.
And they put that on Dalton Schultz, and I think that you can go either Schultz or Dak. I think
Dak
that
shouldn't have thrown it once he saw it happening.
I'm
But
with
Schultz,
you.
Schultz ran the wrong
I
route.
mean, he's just he ran the correct route. He just needs to get inside of that safety. He needs to
Right.
get in front of the face of the safety and cross him.
Right.
And that didn't happen. That linebacker at the beginning of that play really kind of threw everything off. You see him get a chip in, and it put Schultz right in the lap of CD Lamb. And now there's just this kind of discombobulation in the play. That's when, and by the way, no one else is open, on either side. Throw that away. Like you can justly say that Dak needs to just toss that one into the seventh row.
Right. Yeah.
And so either way, Schultz, Dak, there's plenty to go around on that particular play.
Right. And then, the second interception. So if you guys go and listen to Paul Yeomans and No C and Isaac's Talking Boys on the Cowboys podcast, Isaac broke that down pretty well. And I know everybody immediately wanted to start blaming either CD or Dak on it, but he's had a really interesting explanation of it, that it was actually a really great scheme by Green Bay to make CD think it was or make Dak think it was a one high safety. And then the way it looked like a two high safety to CD, and made him make a choice and made him throw it into that kind of coverage.
Yeah. I mean, and CD's, they went back to it in overtime.
Right.
I mean,
right.
They went right back to it in overtime and completed it for 16 yards and a first down.
Right.
So it was just a matter of either guy reading it, and it's a little tighter on the throw that was an interception than the throw in overtime. It's the same route, same coverage and everything. It's just a little bit tighter on that first one. But if CD just, you got to see that it's capped. Rather, one safety, two safeties, really, but it's you got to see that it's a capped route. The safety is up there, no matter what. So you settle it down, you flatten out, and Dak's already throwing. He's already got an idea of what he's going to do, and at worst, it's incomplete. At worst, it's incomplete. Outside of that, after that point, I think is when Dak really started dealing a little bit better. They were on a little bit better page. I like that,
we got redemption CD.
Absolutely. Redemption CD, man. After this guy does something wrong in a game, he's about to go crazy.
Right.
He puts up big numbers after screwing up.
Yeah.
I would prefer that he starts that before the screw up.
Right.
Or maybe the screw up can be very slight and small.
Right. Give him a drop pass like on the first series of the game and get it out of your system and go.
Drop a screen, drop something that may not have even worked, to begin with. So instead, was it the Giants? He had the drop. It would have been a touchdown. And then otherwise, I think he froze up on us. But either way, hope you get back in here, Camber. You back in?
Yep. Yeah. I just got the spinny circle there for a minute.
Buffering.
Right.
But I'm with you. CD needs to be more consistent, and it shouldn't take making a mistake for him to get into the flow and to I don't know if it's focus. I don't know if it's like, man, now I really got to. I'm not sure, but we need that out of the gate.
Right. We need 60 minutes of that too.
Okay. Now, with that said, let's take a look at some star up. You know, it's a loss, 31-28. I get that. We're upset. We're not happy.
I'm going to say I hated the call. I absolutely hated the call to go for it.
I was fine with it.
No, I'm not. Not in a situation that there's a couple things that ticked me off. He had decided by second down, he was going for it on the fourth down.
Yeah.
You don't even know what your yardage is going to be on fourth down, and you've already made up your mind. I
think that changes. I think that changes with like a sack or something like that, though. Like you can change your mind on the fly there,
right? But he stated that he was going to do it. My point is that you have not scored. You did not score in the fourth quarter at all. And I understand that people are like, well, your defense has been trash all day. Well, your offense fell off, and it fell off hard. Like, couldn't get out of its own way during that fourth quarter. So now you are in your territory. You are, and I understand it's cold, and I'm not buying the cold thing that, oh, it's cold and it's hard to kick. When in the game with Buffalo, just hours before, it was the same temperature, and they kicked 5 field goals between the two teams in that game. So I'm taking that off the table. But you take the points because now you have made it where they have to get down there and get a field goal or a touchdown. You're turning that ball over if you don't get the kick, and you're turning it over if you don't make that fourth down in that same spot. But you now have just made it easier that they don't have to go score that touchdown, and they can march it down that little bit of ways they needed to and kick it and end it. You made it easier for them to win that game.
The reason I'm on the other side is because there were a couple of things. One, look at how the game did end. It didn't end with, well, fourth down, we're going to kick the field goal. It ended with, we've done enough. All we have to do now is kick the field goal.
Because you allowed them to. You allowed them to be able to just do that. Yeah, okay.
But had you kicked the field goal, what makes me think that them giving up inside the 10-yard line to kick the field goal and win the game, why do I think you keep them out of the end zone? It's Aaron Rodgers. He's dealt on you all game. You haven't stopped the run all game. You gave up 200 yards. You didn't need a field goal. And you didn't need a field goal from 53 yards out. And I understand it was the same temperature in Buffalo, but we also saw a kicker slip on a kickoff. We saw another field goal from the same distance that wasn't even in the ballpark close. And not only that, but if you miss that field goal, the snap is 8 yards behind and the ball goes back to the snap or place of the kick. So you lose yardage that way. So I think knowing that you need a touchdown, you go ahead and end this game and not give Aaron Rodgers another chance, regardless if it's for a field goal or a touchdown. Just don't put the ball back in his hands. That's probably the line of thinking they had. And I'm okay with that for the simple point of I didn't want the ball back in Aaron Rodgers' hands either, or Aaron Jones's hands.
And why, if you are getting more yardage running the ball than you are passing it, why the hell are you passing the ball in that situation? Why didn't they run it the play before?
On third down?
Yes.
Oh, it's 100%.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I mean, if you know you've got 2 down territory right there, and
and you're averaging what, 6.2 a carry with Pollard that game?
I don't know either. I mean, yeah. And granted, they made the right call, they had the right play, they executed it well. Green Bay commits a penalty, it doesn't get called. That's unfortunate, but you could have prevented it knowing that you're in 4 down territory.
All right.
3rd and 4. I mean, it's kind of funny. They'll justify, we'll run the ball on 1st and 2nd down, and they've been better about it, but they'll justify, we'll run the ball on first or second down because the goal is to get to third and short and make it more manageable, right? We've heard Jerry say that literally. Why does that same logic not apply here to fourth down? On third and 4, Tony Pollard's averaging 5 a carry.
Right.
5 gets you a first down.
Right.
If he doesn't get it, you got fourth and probably shorter than 4.
Right. I don't get it. And in this game, once again, now we're going back and we're looking at the play calling that the run game was there, but why did Dak throw 40 times? Why are we throwing 40 times? He didn't need to. Absolutely not.
And the thing is, what TC just pointed out, 3rd and 4, give him a pass look.
Right.
Space him out. Give him a look. Have Dak pointing. It doesn't have to mean anything. Give some bogus little hand signal,
Mm-hmm.
And then hit him with a delayed draw that's been killing them all game, like TC said. Right. I mean, to me, that's the play.
Yep.
Just going back to that well. They didn't. They should have got the penalty, yes, but you did have an opportunity after that, and you still didn't get it. It's unfortunate, man. I mean, and what's bad is the penalties shouldn't have even as they stand, even as, the no call, the phantom penalty on Kelvin Joseph. When I talk about subjectivity versus objectivity, what Connor McGovern got hit with happens just about every play. You could just control an entire game based on that placement of hands in the frame or off the frame, whatever. But what happened to CeeDee Lamb with Jair Alexander, that's not subjective.
No.
That is this happened.
Unless you're an Eagles fan watching the game, then they
whatever.
Right.
I don't know. They're having their own kind of Monday-ish Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
We're kind of happy about that.
It perked me up.
Yeah, it
perked me up.
Yeah, between that and getting to watch Yellowstone after the game Sunday night, I was trying to find my inner peace.
After the promos and stuff for Yellowstone, I thought it was like a documentary.
Oh, no.
I've never seen it. I've heard people say they watch it, and I'm like, oh, this is like about national parks and stuff.
No.
Like David Attenborough is doing the voicing and everything. No, okay. A lot more cursing.
It's Sons of Anarchy on horses in Montana is what it's my best explanation for it.
On horses in Montana.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah.
All right. So we star up. Let's go.
Okay. On the offense, I'm going to give it to the offensive line. It was a pretty solid performance on their part, and they were able to bully them back and get a run game going. You only had that one ticky-tacky one on McGovern, really. And
I think Tyler Smith got hit with one.
Did he get him? Okay. Yeah. And then Dak only got sacked, was it once? So I'm giving it to the offensive line. I wanted to give it to CD with his redemption. That was my other one, but I'm going with the offensive line on this one.
And even the Dak sack, if you go back and look at it, he doesn't have to push as far up in the pocket as he did.
Right.
If he more so slides or steps up, got a little more room, a little more time to throw. So I don't even know if I would put the sack on the offensive line under those circumstances.
Right.
Now, my star up is CeeDee Lamb because this was a career game for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 10 catches, 150 yards, a touchdown. And because of the amount of receptions, I'm encouraged. It's not necessarily the yards. We've seen those yards before. It's been a while, but we've seen those yards before. We've seen him score touchdowns. But it is the taking control of the wide receivers. You're the guy. I'm the guy.
Right.
And going and making plays, and CeeDee Lamb did that all night. So that's my star up, even though he had the one blunder. came back and performed really well and was very reliable, didn't drop anything. Very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Defense side of the ball, huh? This one's a little more difficult. I have two guys.
For me, there's only one.
Trayvon Diggs shut him down. But I don't think Hankins. I think Hankins did a pretty good job in the middle there too, because they weren't really running up the middle. So I'm going with Diggs.
Yeah, mine is Diggs as well. I just can't give it to anyone on the defensive line. Yeah. Just can't do that.
I mean, they weren't really. I mean, they were attacking the outside. I mean, there weren't very many runs up the middle. So I think Hankins did what he was supposed to be doing in there.
I know. I don't think Hankins was in the game. I know Carlos Watkins was one of them, but you had a moment where Aaron Jones just spins out of traffic and ends up just off to the races. And if you have a guy like Watkins who had a hand on him, like, you got to end it there. And so that's the one time up the middle that I remember. There was another time when Bohanna stunted and Fowler on the other side didn't come across on him, and they left just a gaping hole for Aaron Jones. Those are the only two times that I can remember where they just ate up the middle of the field,
right.
And it's because of a missed tackle from Watkins, and then I think they still pick up the first down on that run because you caught him in a stunt. But Fowler could at least make the play,
Right.
But instead, guess what he's doing? He's rushing the passer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's doing. He's going out wide, and Bohanna's stunning. That's the frustrating stuff.
Yeah.
That's communication, all that goodness. But mine's Trayvon Diggs. I mean, I thought that he has earned a new respect. And when Aaron Rodgers is like, not even trying it, as great as I am, not even going to try it.
Right.
I think that's really your one lone guy in this whole thing that for me. All right. So this Packers game, you look at the defensive backs, you look at the defensive line in the run game, the offense stalling in the fourth quarter. Does this sound the alarm to you? Like, how concerned should we be at this point in time?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. And you can't just say it was this game. I mean, we have to look back at the Chicago game and the yardage that was put up on us in that run. And I don't know if it's kind of like the situation last year where Denver figured us out and now there's a blueprint and this is how you have to use it and everybody's going to use it from, that they've shared it with each other. But yeah, they've got to fix that. And I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, I know people out there are saying bring in Dominic Sue. Dominic Sue is not going to be any different guy than Hankins is in the middle. It's setting those edges, and it's more so on that right side with Fowler and Armstrong than anything. It's got to be fixed.
I'm concerned because teams who have threats, but also a run game, like, I'm not entirely worried about the Texans because, David Mills and that cast of characters, you need to stop Dameon Pierce and everything, but he himself is not just a great weapon, talking about David Mills. And then you don't really have great options outside of that. Your defense isn't very good. So that's going to be they'll get out of their run game. They're like the one team where I'm like, they're not going to rely on it through the entirety of the game. But you're going up against a Vikings team that
weapons. Weapons.
All right. Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, they just traded for. Adam Thielen is not the same guy he once was, but he's still Adam
He's still
Thielen.
A guy. Yeah.
You're still going to respect him.
Right.
And the concern is that.
And KJ Osborne.
Good player.
Yeah.
Good player.
Yep.
The concern is that you cannot afford to take your attention off of these guys. And because of that, you're not allowed to give the run game the attention that it needs in order to be more successful. And then once you do that, you're getting Justin Jefferson in one-on-one situations. You're getting Hawkinson in a mismatch, on that bigger linebacker instead of one of those safeties, that type of stuff. And that's what really worries me is Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 20 times. And it was incredibly efficient because you had to go down and respect the run game. And so they murdered you with slants,
Right.
And so, and we talked about some of the others. Maybe the Colts isn't, kind of the same situation, rookie quarterback, same situation as the Texans. But you get to Tennessee, you get back to Philly, you get to the Commanders now, who have the bus driver doing a better job than Carson Wentz, of course.
And their run game looked great last night. I know it's against Philly, who has some of the same problems that we do with their run D, but their run game was solid last night.
Absolutely. And that's the concern for me, is that teams who have weapons on the outside, you have to put so much respect in them that you're never going to be able to stop that run, because you have to give attention to both, and they're just going to keep running on you. And then, okay, now we got to go and we have to stop the run. We have to stop the run. Justin Jefferson, that type of thing is very concerning to me in regard to the Vikings. I would put the Titans, the Eagles, those teams, maybe even Jacksonville. We'll just have to see how that all shapes out.
Right.
Everybody's got a back, everybody's got
everybody.
And I would say that possibly the Commanders are the team who I don't fear Antonio Gibson. I don't fear Brian Robinson. But you look at everyone else, and with the exception of the Eagles, they've got like a dude, like a certified dude. The issue is Gibson and Robinson together are a problem.
Right.
Miles Sanders.
They're a tandem.
Yeah, Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts, of course, mobile quarterback. Problem. So I don't want to put this out there into the universe, even though I'm about to do it, because that's just who I am as a person. But I'm curious if this team has the same yet the opposite issue that it had a season ago, where opponents figure something out after your great start and you don't know how to stop them.
Adjust.
Yeah, you don't know how to adjust. That's my big fear here.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's very understandable, and our secondary right now, kind of to go along with that you almost would have to have Diggs travel with Jefferson, because, come on, not knowing if Anthony Brown's coming back, what the extent of his injury is and how long he could be out. I have zero confidence in KJ. I really do. I haven't seen it.
Here's where you're in trouble as well. Justin Jefferson is not just a traditional X. You saw what Lazard did to Deron Bland in the slot.
Right.
And Lazard can't hold Justin Jefferson's jockstrap.
Right.
So they get Justin Jefferson in a matchup against Deron Bland. Bad news Bears.
Yeah.
Bad news Bears.
Yeah.
But you get them matched up with Kelvin Joseph. It's very bad news. And that's where we should, come to appreciate Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis. Two veteran guys, not world beaters, not Pro Bowlers. AB has had a down year, but I think that J-Lou had actually been pretty good this year.
Solid. Yeah,
solid. Yeah.
Yeah,
solid is like great for those guys.
Right.
But I really fear kind of what's coming with the Vikings. Now, if we're using our good friend Joseph Massey's logic here, Dallas lost and the Vikings won. That
the energy. We're going to go with the energy thing, right?
Energy, the pump it up. Yeah. What was he saying? That he wanted the. Oh, Massey, what were you saying if you're still in here, man? Something about if you win or if you lose, you'll come back with more of a vengeance, or
right.
You'll be more motivated.
He wants them to play on that emotion. That
Look at that. So it's got to be a dub.
Right. He's right. They are more desperate to win, and I am going to stay with the fact that I do appreciate the fact that the Vikings had to play such a physical, hard game against Buffalo in the cold, and play that out really hard, that maybe their recovery isn't quite as easy this week.
Yeah, but same for Dallas.
Shh. Quit. Don't.
I know.
Just leave it at that.
I know, but
I get it.
I just appreciate you, TC. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, hit that up. All right, let's give a little prediction here for the Cowboys versus the Vikings. And you can go as in-depth as you want. This guy's going to have this, or you can just give a score, whatever you want to do.
So, remember last week when we went through the schedule, and this one was really hard for me to decide one way or the other. It got harder. And, one of the biggest things is because of Anthony Brown being out. And seeing the way that this run defense played last week. And I know Mass wants us to ride the desperation train. Just not seeing it this week, guys. I'm not. I can't. We lose this game. We're going to lose it 24-17.
24-17.
I just, and I hate picking against us. I absolutely hate picking against us. But I was worried about it before.
What time is this game?
It's a 3:25. It's not prime time, or I would have put that into it because we know what prime time Kirk is.
No, but it does get dark early.
Right? And they are going to be in Minnesota.
Look, I'm not confident until I see that we can stop the run. And I think Zeke comes back. Here's the encouraging thing, and here's where Zeke helps you win that Green Bay game. They don't throw 46 times.
Right.
The game shortens.
Right.
When you throw the ball a lot, I understand that, it's a passing league, and I know everybody wants to throw the ball a lot, but it creates more drives. It draws the game out, which creates more chaos, which kind of takes you out of control. So with Zeke in there, maybe you don't have the big pop for, however many yards or 20 yards or whatever. You're not going to have that. But we've seen them get down there methodically with Zeke. It shortens the game. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys going into the fourth quarter up 2 scores, wouldn't you have liked a shorter game?
Yep.
Absolutely.
We had 18 more plays and they possessed the ball 6 more minutes in this game.
Exactly. So with Zeke coming back, I gotta wonder if they go back to more of what we're concerned other teams might do to us and have Zeke carry the ball, 17, 18 times, Pollard carrying the ball 12, 13 times, and Dak throwing the ball 25 times, something of that range. I'm a lot more comfortable if that's the case, but if Dallas is throwing 46 times,
we're losing the game.
Especially up 2 scores.
Right.
46 times on the road in the cold, ugly weather.
Right. It was like it's opposite day.
I know. Take the kick, take the opening kickoff. I don't know. So if they get
yes,
back to,
what was that about? Not defer.
Emotion. That's what it was. Decisions made on emotion. That's who Mike McCarthy is.
Okay, and the man who was playing hoops at 9 a.m. that morning took 40 friends and families friends and family there. It wasn't your family reunion, Mike. You were there to play a football game. I understand you were going home, but knock it off.
I think Mike enjoyed the pageantry.
Well, you know what? I hope he did.
I think he did, and I think that we're getting a little off topic here, but I think with Mike McCarthy, when it comes to games like this, we kind of saw it in the San Francisco game. I think that he tries to win by pumping up. We're just going to go out there. We're going to be just all over him. Like he's a rah guy. And that's okay as long as your preparation is in place. So he can pump up all he wants, but at the end of the day, I think Mike McCarthy does a poor job of preparing the X's and O's going into games like this, and that's why you see slow starts. That's why the Dallas Cowboys were, admittedly, they said nervous before that San Francisco game.
Right.
And you can't keep having the same issue come up in your biggest games. And so, like I said, that's a little bit off topic there, but I think Mike McCarthy is doing a good job all in all. I mean, you won 12 games last year. You're on pace to do the same thing this year, make the playoffs back-to-back years, which is something that has eluded the Dallas Cowboys. So all in all, I'm not unhappy with Mike McCarthy. I just don't know if I feel like I can trust his preparation going into bigger games. I think he leans a little too much on the emotional side. I already know what you're laughing at.
I'm with you, Professor.
Get him out of here.
Kill him.
Get him out of here.
As they would say in Yellowstone, take him to the train station.
I don't even know the joke about Rowdy.
Oh,
I don't even know. I have no idea.
Rowdy came out the year after we won our last Super Bowl, and we have not seen it since. Rowdy got to die.
Rowdy got to die.
I'm taking him to the train station.
Poor Rowdy. Like, could you imagine any child born in 1996?
He's a creepy ass costume. No, get him out of here.
Okay, but so is like the Phillies,
Okay, bye.
Just throwing all the mascots out the window. All right.
You know what? Here's the thing. It's fine when you're in high school, you're in college. You get up into that pro level. Do you really need some guy making $25, $30 an hour running around in some costume doing some dance?
They make $30 an hour?
Oh, I'm sure they've got to make good money. But
hey, I'm a silly SOB. I could be a mascot in a second.
Yeah. No, my football game is not enhanced by that creepy ass cowboy running around on the field who now has a friend armadillo running around on it.
This is the first I've heard of this.
Yeah, I saw it. That was I guess it was the preseason game against the Seahawks. An armadillo running around. Oh, 6 figures. See, that's nuts. That's crazy.
No.
Steven is going to change his career path
I am
right now, ladies
beside
and
myself
gentlemen.
right now. Dude, has Spirit Halloween packed up yet? I gotta go get a costume. What the heck? 200K? I could almost live in San Francisco. I'm telling you, man, that is wild. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Let's get back to the predictions. I think if Zeke comes back, I think Kellen Moore kind of reels it in. They go back to more of a run first offense, shorten the game, get a little bit more under control with that time of possession. And at the end of the day, I think the Cowboys bounce back here. And I'm going to go 27-24. Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
27-24.
All right.
So there you go.
There was no way I was saying 40 burgers this week. I would like to throw that out there. What?
That's not true.
What?
That's not true.
That's just dumb.
You telling me this dude has a veteran's minimum contract?
That is insane. And the cheerleaders barely make enough to get a Happy Meal on the way home.
That part.
Seriously. That's absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. And they have to have talent. That guy's running around in costume acting like an idiot.
And that's
a whole nother show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why in college they have a lot of like live mascots. Like they ain't paying Bevo $600K.
Yeah, no, Huskies. We have a dog, which I'd like to point out beat Oregon.
Congratulations. I went to UNT. We don't update people on how we did. No one cares. No one cares. They're like, do y'all have a prospect this year? I'm like, nah, not this year. Try again next year. And they're like, okay, that's what I thought. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Appreciate you dropping in. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, Pick Six Sports. Of course, follow us on Twitter if you don't already. And be sure to tune in to all of our other shows as well. Camber and Massey, you guys going to be on Thursday?
Yep, we're on Thursday this week.
There you go. You've also got a Wednesday show. You've got Freestyle Fridays. Be sure to hop in the spaces with us beforehand. It's always a lot of fun. They've got great guests, especially on Friday night. So that's going to do it. This has been your Midday Due Diligence. See you guys later.